Yo, 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 it's your boy Vegabomber in. Welcome to Vegabomber land. That's right, I'm not mobile, because you can see, and this is done on purpose, of course, the collection. Both, of course, movies and the collection. So, based off the collection, you know what I'm about to talk about. I'm about to talk about Black Panther, and this is the spoiler edition. That's right, now I can get deep into the cracks and crevices of this film because last time I couldn't. So let's go. All right, I'm going to try to talk about this and say some things that maybe everybody hasn't already said if you've seen some other spoiler reviews, and then also kind of give you some of my deeper thoughts about the film and maybe some of the themes that may be prevalent in the film. So first of all, let's start off with what my overall impression was. So at this time, and during this recording, I've only seen the movie twice. But in between seeing it the first time and the second time, some things settled in. So the first time I saw the film, loved it, thought it was great. Felt like the CGI cartoony parts of it and that fight scene between Kilmonger and Black Panther, I really was just let down by that. I really wanted to see some hand-to-hand combat just like they did at Warrior Falls. So seeing it the second time, still hated that, and still kind of didn't, I guess this second time around, the pacing where I thought it might have been slower, for whatever reason, that didn't bother me as much this second time, and maybe it's because I was used to it. But let me get into the first piece of this, which would be the performances. So to me, the performances in this film were top-notch, they were satisfying, they were exceptional. And when I talk about performances, I'm talking about the big 4 or 5, and that would be T'Challa, yes, T'Challa, and I'm going to get on that. Kilmonger is played by Michael B. Jordan. Shuri is played by Letitia Wright. And Okoye, which was the leader of the Dora Milaje, played by Michonne or Denai Guerrero. And I always probably messed up her name, but there you go. Now, all 4 of those people had standout characters. Now, first of all, you know I love villains, so let's talk Kilmonger first. Now, Kilmonger was awesome in this film. And what do I mean by that? He was a great villain because in the process of understanding who he was in the film, kind of flashing back, showing you that he was that kid at the beginning of the movie that was playing basketball while his dad upstairs was being killed by his brother, King T'Chaka, who was trying to protect Zuri, who was there to watch Killmonger's dad, N'Jobu, who was basically kind of turning into his own man in terms of, I'm just going to use this vibranium to help these people in bad situations and basically fight back against our oppressors. And of course, I guess T'Chaka was like, no, we're going to send a spy. And that was Zuri, the other gentleman that was there with him, who was called James. He was there to also make sure that he was sticking to it. So these were war dogs. These were guys who were sent as spies from Wakanda to check on some things, but Killmonger's dad decided he was going to take matters into his own hands and kind of supplant the original plan of them being there in the first place, which was just to observe and to see what was going on. He decided to act, and it was, of course, not into the accordance of what the Wakandans wanted. So Kilmonger gets a great start. Michael B. Jordan plays that angst of rage. It's controlled. He has all the kills represented on his body by the scaration, which I think was incredible. So here's somebody who grew up in a neighborhood like Oakland in 1992. So don't forget, this is not too far after the Rodney King thing. And you could also tie in the NWA movie straight out of Compton if you wanted to. It would fit kind of in here during this time frame. And Killmonger is just that product of, hard life. So especially that scene when he goes back and visits his dad in the astral plane, and his father asked him, N'Jobu, who was killed by T'Chaka, said, "No tears for me?" And he was just like, coldly like, and at 8 or 9 years old was able to say, people die around here. That's just how it is. And it was just like seeing that disposition of this kid, and then it flashed back to Killmonger as an adult, and he's crying, talking to his dad in the astral plane, meaning, come on, y'all. This was some solid acting. You had to catch some feels there for him because you kind of understand where his angst comes from. So Michael B. Jordan, MCU villain, best one. Yeah, I could make that argument. I really could. Loki, sure, he was fine, but the more Loki went on, the less threatening, the less villainous he was to me, in my opinion. So I have him above Loki. But, I have Zemo above Loki, too, because I thought, but that's another story. So Shuri, great. She was the comic relief here. She was basically the cue to T'Challa's James Bond. Her mentality was all about, hey, well, just because we did something good doesn't mean we should stop there. Let's push the limits and see where else we can go. And I thought that was great. And you could buy kind of the big brother, kid sister vibe back and forth. It made him real. It made both of them real. It made families seem more real in this film. And Angela Bassett had a part in that too as the Queen Mother Ramonda. So I dug the fact that kid sister older brother thing, I mean, that's what gave this film some extra heart so that it wouldn't just be super serious, although, again, you needed tension because this thing was about to come to a head. So Okoye, Michonne, she kicks serious butt in this film. You like her right off the bat because she's naturally cynical to outside things that think they're going to subvert people. She's not having it. She's serious. She keeps that tone. She never breaks off and starts to joke. I guess unless you want to count the rhino kissing her that way. But she was good. And then, of course, let me talk about T'Challa now, because I think the big thing that's going on right now is there are a lot of people saying, man, T'Challa was really kind of forgettable. He really wasn't that good. He was really kind of shown up by Kilmonger and maybe even Okoye. But I'm going to tell you to stop for a second. Stop. Think about it. In this situation, T'Challa has already done the Venge route. He did it in Civil War. Now he needs to be in a different place, and that is, how do you follow behind a king that was well respected, who later on has a dirty secret, a family secret too? But at this point in the stage of the game, how do you follow the footsteps of your dad? That's like, how do you follow behind Roger Staubach, or how do you follow behind Joe Montana, right? I mean, how do you follow behind Michael Jordan? That's what T'Chaka was, and T'Challa knew it, and so, you know, how do you live up to that? And then, of course, there's people who are not going to like some of the things that you're doing when you're not in Wakanda, because they're like, well, why are you worrying about what the Avengers are doing when you should be here protecting us? So you can see the angst. And so T'Challa is not boring, because if you look at him, he has a constant arc. Think about it. First, it's how do I fill in these big shoes? Then it's, there's a horrible secret out there. Will somebody please tell me what that secret is? And I thought, Chadwick Boseman's range when he confronts Forrest Whitaker, Zuri, and says, no, tell me the truth. I am the king now. You know, just the way he said that, you got the sense that he was in it. And then, of course, a great, job by Forrest Whitaker, Zuri, in this case, tells him what happens. And then another character arc is when he dies, Killmonger kills him, right? Spoiler, right? This is what's going to happen. And he's able to go back after he's dead and he gets recovered. He goes to the astral plane. When T'Challa goes the second time, he confronts his dad about, you did the wrong thing. You created a monster by letting that boy, Kilmonger, just grow up without any parents, without burying his father, without doing anything, just kind of leaving him there to fend for himself. So look at the turn. First, it's how do I replace or follow up behind my dad? And then second, it's how do I call him out when he's so well respected for something that is clearly wrong? So what you see is T'Challa starting to take an arc to say, nah. If I'm going to be the next king, there's some things I'm going to do differently, and this is one of them. This is one big problem, because now I got to clean up the mess. So if you're saying T'Challa was kind of boring, didn't really have a whole lot to it, no, he's thinking, he's intelligent. Everybody doesn't have to wear their feelings on their sleeves just for you to like them. Everybody doesn't have to be funny, and everybody hasn't always be angry, right? Some people think, and so the way he's processing this is genius. You'll see that upon multiple viewings. Okay, so if I talk about the performances, then I also have to talk about the script, because the script is what's driving these performances. And I got to say that this script, written by Ryan Coogler, and also who directed the film as well, when you look at Ryan Coogler, this man is solid. I mean, he did Fruitvale Station, also with Michael B. Jordan in it. He did Creed, which got Sly Stone a nomination for Best Supporting Actor. And it was all his story that he brought to Sly and said, I think we can do another Rocky movie, but this is the angle I take it from. And it was genius. So here, I thought that this was, once again, the script was genius because it got deeper than most people want to know, right? So, for example, there is a rift between Africans and the way they view African Americans. There is a rift there. And a lot of times, Africans are seen as more noble because they don't complain about the slavery here because they never dealt with it. They dealt with a different kind of colonialization, but not what happened here. And so there's this kind of split. And so to have Michael B. Jordan be born in Oakland, have his mother be African American and his father be African, but never get to go back home to see where he's from, that helps give him the understanding of why he's also disillusioned and cut off from a body of people. Because really, remember, T'Challa has everything. He has the family, right? And a perfect line in that movie that you see, which is part of the script, is when Kilmonger looks around, he walks into the throne, and he's just like, yeah, y'all all real comfortable up in here. Everybody's real comfortable, right? And you see it, and you see the way he's moving, right? So, I mean, that script is showing you that there's a rift there. It's not trying to pretend like African Americans and Africans have no beef with each other. No, there is some beef there. And I'm thinking, wow, a Disney movie? Y'all decided to slide that in? Cool. And then, of course, they also mention, like, there's the jokes about colonizers, but then at the same time, there's also about the oppression that was going on in the United States. So it went there, but it didn't beat you over the head. It didn't turn it into a movie now that's going to start regaling a lot of old black and white footage of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. It didn't go that route, but it still let you know it was there. So again, good scripts do this. Totally drew you in, and then some of that language. And of course, you know, in the after credit scenes, because there were two, and one is where T'Challa is telling people the main thing is that they're going to start sharing some of their resources. Because he said, and here's, again, great line, shows you the script is good, is he says, it's better to build bridges than it is to build barriers between people. We're all one human race. And again, very good theme, put into the script, could have been cheesy or ham-fisted, but it wasn't. And it was an after-credit scene. In fact, I think it probably didn't need to be an after-credit scene. It could have very easily been in the movie, but it's an after-credit scene. And the second after-credit scene, while we're talking about it, is the one with Bucky. And it's the kids looking at Bucky, and then Bucky walks outside the hut, and he sees Shuri, and Shuri, you know, has a little dialogue with him. And you can tell that Bucky knows who he is because she says, Sergeant Barnes. And he said, my name is Bucky. So that was to let you know he was aware. So that was pretty good. And so as far as after credit scenes go, cool. Two good ones, not a useless one as far as I was concerned. So now we look at the story. So what's this story? And I'm trying to keep it in a flow, but the story is simply this. This is T'Challa coming home a week after the events of Civil War in which his father was killed, murdered, right, by Zemo, not Claw, Zemo, don't forget, right? The Claw shows up in Age of Ultron, but not in Civil War. So anyways, he comes back home, and he, again, has to fill in the shoes of his dad, but the movie starts in 1992, flashes back and then goes forward, and it shows T'Chaka, who's then Black Panther and King, confront N'Jobu, Killmonger's dad, and T'Chaka's brother, because while he's sent him there to be a war dog, he also recognizes that he's decided to do something illegal with the vibranium, which is he's taking it, using it, and weaponizing it to try to get back at what was going on against the evils there in America, which would be, you know, what was around the race riots and that sort of thing. And certainly with it being 92, that's right after, or right during the same time of Rodney King. So you see him getting fired up, and he's ready to do some things, and he's ready to kill Zuri, who is the young Zuri, who was Forrest Whitaker later. And then Black Panther has to step in and stop that before he kills him, and he ends up killing N'Jobu instead of N'Jobu killing Zuri. So we see that, and then boom, we go forward, and here we are, and now it's all about Black Panther. He and Nakia's a spy. She's working on some things. She's trying to she's trying to stop a particular situation of something or other. She's undercover, and then they come in, jump in, try to save her, and then they get some intel a little bit later on Claw, that the man that stole some of that vibranium that's been branded. They've got a location on him, and it's in Korea, and therefore they end up going to Korea. And what's interesting is just before that, the first time we see Kilmonger, he's with Claw, and they're going to this museum, and in that museum there's an artifact that's got vibranium in it. They want to steal it because, you know, vibranium is, you know, is very valuable. It's very precious, right? And so then from there, what you got is a guy who's in bed, if you will, with Claw in terms of stealing, petty theft, but also willing to kill people. And then what you have is T'Challa and then failing in that casino scene to capture him, and he has to come back. And Wakabi, played by Daniel Pide, who is from Get Out, It's like, hey, that man Claw has killed my ancestors. I wanted him back. You guys failed. And then he hits him with a hard guilt trip. He just says, you know, for 30 years we thought that your father was going to make that situation right. And he couldn't. And it appears that you're no different. And he gives him a mean stink eye and kind of walks off, which is perfect setup for Kilmonger, because Kilmonger now just wants to go back to Wakanda. He really doesn't need Claw. So he kills Claw, because he knows if he brings back the one man that W'Kabi and all of them were saying that they really wanted, and shows that he was able to succeed at something that Black Panther wasn't, then now he's probably going to get some social currency, which he does, because once he brings Claw's body over there, that's the first thing that W'Kabi does, is he looks down and sees it and thinks, wow, you were able to do what the Black Panther wasn't able to do. And then we get the challenge. And then the truth comes out about who Kilmonger is. Turns out he's T'Challa's cousin, because he's the son of his dad's brother. And he never knew about it, because, you know, T'Chaka didn't want anyone to know about that dirty little secret where he killed his own brother and then left his own brother's child to fend for himself. So, yeah, that's hard times. So basically, you're going to get this fight over the Warrior Falls, and of course, Kilmonger, who's been waiting for his whole life for this one moment to challenge for a kingship in a country they only heard about what was so great but had never been to. This is his time, and he's on the come up. And of course, he takes T'Challa out. T'Challa dies, and then they send Kilmonger through all the rituals that the Black Panther goes through, which is the ingesting of the heart-shaped herb. Now, in the comic books, he couldn't take it because you have to be of the hereditary line in order to ingest it. Otherwise, it would make you crazy. So he had to make a synthetic version of the heart-shaped herb in the comic books, but there's a little difference there. But at any rate, we know that T'Challa's dead, but we know he's not going to stay dead because he's in Infinity War, right? And it's his movie. But it's how. And in this movie, you really want to know, how is he going to come back? How is this possible? So the women are strong and great. Nakia goes. Okoye says she's going to still be honoring the throne despite anything else. And then there you go. There's your movie. And then, of course, Ramonda says we got to go and talk to the Jabari tribe, see if they'll help us here, because we got a monster on the throne and we can't let him stay there, even though he won it fair and square. So essentially, this is the majority of the story. I don't want to go any further than that. I just want to get back to some of the themes now. So some of the themes about this movie, wonderful. So one of the things that you heard in the movie was that, you know, T'Chaka tells T'Challa, you're a good man, and it's tough to be a good man and be king. So we know that good men, good people will be tested, because evil will always be around them and there'll always be a temptation. And T'Chaka should know, because he killed his own brother in an instance of self-defense for a friend that he cared about, Zuri. So he knows. He's speaking from experience when he says that. Another big theme that we see is about how Wakanda's isolation is from the rest of the world. They're xenophobic, and they want to keep Wakanda where it is, because they don't want a lot of attention to Wakanda, because then a lot of people will come and try to ransack it like they already do in Africa for all the other minerals like diamonds. So you understand why Wakanda does what they do, but at the same time you also see the limitations of it. And that was beautifully displayed by Kilmonger and his ex-girlfriend Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o. She tells him that how can we just sit back on all this tech and healthcare and stuff and then not do something for our brothers and sisters out there, and especially the ones who look like us, who come from this country. We just do nothing. And I thought that was great that they showed the flaws in isolationism, and then it also helps you understand why they would do it, why they felt they needed to protect themselves in that way. But isolationism doesn't work. It's not if you're going to be one big group nation, and that's that scene at the very end in the first credit scene, or the stinger, if you will. Another good theme, and this also is a strong deal about family. You notice the mom and the sister, they're tight, and the women are tight, and they're tight with their men. It's not like their men are these, again, the fatherless crazies or whatever. They're there to support, and they're there to love their men, but they're also no joke. They can take care of things, right? So the Dora Milaje is awesome, because if T'Challa is gone and having to go fight on some mission, he can either bring one of them with him, but probably not. But he knows that when he leaves, the throne is well protected as long as they're there. And W'Kabi is there and that sort of thing as well, in the different tribes. So, yeah, that's actually pretty good. So, but the family ties, you can see it when T'Challa dies. That was a really feels moment, right? That was a heart moment. because you saw how Shuri responded, and you saw how Ramonda responded, right? It was a horrible thing. And then them just not wanting to believe that T'Chaka could do such a thing, which is kill Nagubu, right? They just couldn't believe that. And that's family. Family would do that. Family would defend you even when they find out you did something wrong. But then when they realize that, two wrongs don't make a right, they would still try to fix it. And that's T'Challa's character. He still figured out a way to try to make that right. Then another theme that you would have in this film that showed up as well is that you can have revolutionary thoughts and you can want to change things, but there's a way to go about it. And if you go about it the way the Kilmonger wants to, you just spread more death and you create more revolutionaries on the other side to pop up and then want to come and clap back. So that's not the way you want to go about it. You want to go about it the way that T'Challa saw it, But Kilmonger was not having any of that, evidenced by the last scene in this movie. Oh my gosh, there's so much I could say, but I don't want this video to run too long. But I just want you to know that for this to be a Marvel comic book movie, it did a lot more, and it deserves everything. I think at this time, with this recording, the movie for its opening weekend, just 4 days, has broke the 200 million mark. And that's just opening weekend. So, yes, Black Panther was seen. Yes, I'll end it on this. Just like my boy T'Challa said, in a great line written into this film by Coogler, and that simply is this. You're going to build relationships and real equity for people the moment that you build bridges and not barriers. Yo, it's your boy Vegabomber. I had to get that out there. It didn't bother me. I loved this film. I'm going to buy it on Blu-ray. I will get the action figure if I have to, because I love to collect things. And I'm going to tell you, go see it. And then try to see it with an open mind. Get away from all the hype, the extremists, and just sit down and just ask yourself, does the movie have great performances by great actors? Does the story make sense and follow a through line? Does the humor that is in the movie, is it placed well enough to get you a sense of these people? We already know the visuals are great. We already know that the CGI, while I did have a problem with some of it, the stuff that was good, did help to paint a picture for you. If it did all these things, it was directed well, acted well, performed well, good story, plots made sense, then maybe, just maybe, it's a good film. Now it's your turn to talk. Go ahead and hit me up. And if you haven't subscribed and you like what I'm saying here today, go ahead and subscribe and like and share and let other people know about this film, how you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments section. Anyway, it's your boy Vegabomber, and I'm out. You! Home run, Black Panther.